I do a lot of tape digitizing video, like from VHS and 8mm and high 8 over to digital formats such as DVD or MP4 files. I thought maybe it's a good idea. Let's take a look at the different equipment I've got and how they compare. When you're digitizing tapes to archive, there are many ways to do it. And one of the ways that I do it is I use a standalone DVD recorder, much like this. I'm actually using Toshiba's and Panasonic, but much like this. Video plugs into the front. It creates a DVD that will play in any DVD player. And then, of course, that DVD, you can pop it in your computer. You can download the digital files, which are encoded as an MPEG-2 high bit rate stream. It's what's called an IPB. It's got a relatively short GOP, or group of pictures, compared to other systems like MPEG-4. So it's a relatively low compression, fairly good quality. There are multiple speeds. The XP speed, of course, which is 10 megabits, is going to give you the best quality, but the shortest recording time at 1 hour per disc. The standard speed, 5 megabits, gives you pretty good quality, and gives you 2 hours per disc. Of course, the quality when you digitize depends on your source, and the poorer your source, such as a VHS tape in the EP speed, which is the absolute worst quality that you're ever going to see, you're going to get mediocre results, because the noise on the tape has to be compressed, and when you start compressing the noise, well, it takes a lot more bandwidth. So generally the faster recording speed or the shorter recording time is going to give you better quality, but this is one way to do it. It's a very convenient way. It's all one step, and the quality is good, and I use this a lot for my clients when I'm digitizing tapes, only because 9 out of 10 of my clients not only want their video on a USB stick, but they also want a hard copy on a DVD, because we all know how USB sticks can get lost. We all know how USB sticks can get corrupted. The same goes for hard drives. So some clients will want their stuff on a hard drive. Other clients, they want it on a physical disk. When I'm doing a physical disk, I'm using a machine like this. There are two other ways that I capture or can capture video. One other way I do, and this is a third option. This is a Hauppauge Hd Pvr. This box will accept analog video. It's either S-video or composite, and on the back it has component video in and a loop through for out, and a USB out, and of course the optical input and output for if you're capturing AC3 digital, and of course the power. And the strength to this is that this will capture analog HD, and I use this with my cable box when I want to make a hard copy of a TV show that I've recorded. So I will use this to capture in 1080i from my cable box using the component inputs, and I can then make a permanent copy. That's one of the reasons I've hung on to my older cable box and I haven't accepted the newer 4K boxes, because those ones don't have, well, I guess they do have component because they're breakout cable for them, but the cable box I've got has component outputs, and I just plug it into here and I can make a perfect quality copy. And I'll show you. This video we're going to do a demonstration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an analog tape, a high 8 tape. I'm going to capture it with this unit onto a DVD and then rip the DVD. I'm going to capture it into an MP4 using this box, and I'm also going to capture it into a fixed compression 25 megabit DV bit stream from my DV capture device, which I'll show you momentarily. It's an HDV player that has analog inputs, and it'll work with mini DV, it'll work with HDV tapes. It's the actual player, and it has analog input, so it will accept an analog signal and it will convert it over to a DV stream. The difference between the three systems is the Colorspace. So DVD encodes at it's 420. That's the Colorspace that it encodes at. So that's 4 samples of luminance and then 2 subsamples of the color. And that's it. This one encodes at 422. So how the difference between 420 and 422 is just the number of samples it makes for the color subsamples. So 422 samples, 4 samples of luminance, 2 samples of the blue, and 2 samples of the red. This one does a little different. DVD is 420, which is, it's still capturing obviously both the red and the blue, but it's only capturing half the amount of information that this one captures. So in theory, this one should have the best color resolution, but I don't think we're going to see that. And then there's the mini DV standard, which was 411. So that captures 4 samples of luminance per sample, and only 1 of the red and 1 of the blue. So in theory, the mini DV capture from my capture card, in theory, should have the weakest color of them all. That's in theory. We're going to find out, because I'm going to take the same analog high 8 tape, I'm going to capture it into an MP4 file from here, I'm going to capture it into an MPEG-2 file on one of these recorders, and I'm going to capture it in as a direct DV file, and we're going to play the 3 of them and compare the differences, if there are any, and you'll see what the differences in color quality and in luminance quality and so forth. I'm shooting the video here in HD, so I'm going to show it to you as an unaltered image, so it'll be a small image because it's standard definition on the screen, and then I'll enlarge it so that you can see it full screen. But I'll capture a couple minutes. I'll capture the same footage on the 3 times, and we're going to use the same playback machine. I'll show you what I'm going to use inside the studio for playing the tape, and the other machine that's going to capture it onto the computer. But when we're done, we'll have 3 files to compare. So this is an EVS 7000. This is a high 8 player. It has a built-in time-based corrector, and I've just set this up temporarily because I just finished doing around, I think around 50, or between 50 and 55 high 8 tapes for a client. Actually, more than one client, so I had a bunch of them. So I normally don't leave this machine set up unless I need it, but this is an EVS 7000. This is the best high 8 player that's ever been manufactured. It's a professional level deck. This was the consumerized version of it, but it has rewritable time code. It's got a time-based corrector, and this is considered to be the Cadillac of high 8 players. You won't find a high 8 player that does a better job than this at any price. And these were not cheap. This machine was over $3,000 when it was new. This is the one that the take-up hub has got a crack in it, and I had to fix it because the part's not available. But it's a beautiful machine, and it really will play back high 8 tapes in the absolute best quality that you're ever going to get. So I'm going to use this for playback, and we're going to record it on the Hauppauge, and we're going to record it on a DVD recorder using the S-Video connector for the best possible quality. And the third device I'm going to use is this other little DV or HDV deck sitting on my desk. Let's take a look at that one. So this is the third capture device. This is an HDV deck. This deck here, if I go into the menu onto this, I can switch it to what they call DV out mode. If I go into, where is it, menu, and I go down here and I select AV to DV out and turn that on. Now what I've done is I've just basically turned this into a FireWire capture card. So the audio video goes into the inputs on the side, and then there's a FireWire here which goes right down to the computer, and that will transfer everything from this deck. Any analog signals coming in will be converted over to a DV stream and transferred directly by digital connection to the computer, where they'll be stored on this little hard drive here, which is what I store all my content on. I have a stack of removable drives, so I never run out of space. So this is going to encode at 25 megabits per second, which is the highest for any of the consumer stuff, is 25 megabits, which is the same bit rate that HDV used, but the difference between DV and HDV is HDV used MPEG-2 compression using the 420 Colorspace, just like a DVD, but it recorded at 1080i or 720p, depending on the configuration of the camera. I happen to have 2 cameras that will make tapes that are compatible with this. And of course, DV was the consumer DV, which was at 411 at 720 by 480 interlaced. So that's what we're going to be encoding at here, is 720 by 480 interlaced on this and on the other 2 devices. So let me dig out a tape. We'll do some capturing, and then we'll compare the results. And I think the difference between the three devices is going to be noticeable. We're going to work with the source files too. So the source file direct out of the DVD recorder, the source file created by the Hauppauge, and the source file created from this. This creates AVI files in Premiere. So this should have the best picture quality. It technically this should have, but we'll find out once I do the digitizing. We'll see, does this unit deliver the best picture quality? It should, for what it costs, because this little unit here was, I think it was $1,200 when I bought it. So it was not cheap. So it should give the best quality, but we'll find out. That's what the whole point of this little experiment is which one of the three devices that I have is going to deliver the best quality. Let's find out. Now, the tape I'm going to use is this one here. This was shot on an EVW300. It was an evaluation tape. This is one of those crappy Sony metal particle professional tapes, which will probably clog the heads, but I've already got this transferred to DVD, so I can actually dig up the DVD I transferred this to and take it right off that one. Therefore, I don't have to do it again. But if I can't find the disc, I'll redo it. But this tape was shot on a 3-chip professional high 8 camera that Sony made. I had for a while. I used to use it for production work. It was a $12,000 camera, and the picture quality off that camera was better than the $10,000 JVC DV camera, professional DV, that replaced it, which I still have. And yeah, this is the camera that I sold when I was all done with it, and it caused me so many headaches with the buyer, which we won't go into. But let's just say it was my last experience selling anything on eBay, period, because this one has dragged on since, I think, I'm trying to remember what year I sold the camera, but it was 15 years ago at least. And this one is still dragging on. So, anyway, the camera produced beautiful pictures. And you'll see on this, for an analog tape, it was just fantastic. So I'm going to make the DVD recording using my Panasonic DMR EH50. I'm going to record this onto a DVD-RW disc and then format it, and then finalize it, so I can import it into the computer. So there it is, S-Video connection for the best possible quality, and we're going to make that recording right now. So now I'm recording the disc now, and I'll have to make sure that music gets killed, because we won't be able to play that, that's for sure. But I did an audio dub on this. This was dubbed in digital. So we'll kill the sound off this. Maybe I can just go back to the natural sound if I can. There's the natural sound. So this recording now is, this is right off the tape. As you can see, this tape is not in great shape, because this is one of those super expensive Sony HMPX tapes that have not aged well. This is what happens with videotape, especially the high-grade tapes. It is crap. I'll be lucky to get 3 passes off this tape to make this comparison fair. I digitized this once before. It was digitized a while ago, and this tape looks like it's deteriorated since then. But so I figured I would make it a fair comparison, and we would do a fresh capture on both the DVD and directly into the computer, and that way you can get the best, fairest comparison between the two. But this is what it looks like playing over S-Video and then going into my plasma over component connection. So this is, in theory, going to be the best quality transfer I can get from an analog recording, because it's being done over S-Video. But yeah, lots of dropouts on this tape, as you can see. I'm also running the machine with the top off, so that if I need to, I can clean the heads using the cleaning wheel here. So if the heads clog up, I'll have to clean them. But we'll try and get the best quality transfer off this tape as possible. But these HMPX tapes, they were nasty. Like, even when they're only a couple years old, these tapes, you paid a premium for them, and these tapes were just utter garbage. I mean, they were a premium tape, priced high, came in a nice box, right? And they were marked for professional use, but no, crap. Typical Sony tape crap that clogs heads and just Gives nothing but headaches. Even when they were new. Like, we had problems with these tapes when they were only a year old. I'd make recordings on these tapes and play them back once or twice, and they were already starting to show their age. They were just pathetic. So what we're looking at now, this is the tape. This is captured with the Sony DV Capture. So this is going through the DV Capture box. This is what the picture would look like if I didn't resize it. So here is the image, untouched, and you can enjoy it in its 720 by 480 frame size. And without resizing, this is what standard definition looks like in a high definition workflow. Let's resize this so you guys can see it full screen. But this is from the Sony GV HD 7000 capture. Now I was thinking I might just output this video. We'll see how this looks up converted to 1080, but I may just turn around and go back and just down convert everything and output it as a 480 workflow. In fact, that might be the preferred way to do it. Once again, we'll go back to looking at the normal size from this, just so that you don't see scaling artifacts from me blowing it up to fit the 1080 picture frame, because I don't know how that's going to come across, especially when YouTube does their work on it too. So this is what you would get if you were to look at an HD tape, or sorry, a standard definition tape on an HD television without scaling it up. This is what you would see. Now obviously if you feed it into your HD television over the analog inputs, the TV itself is going to scale it to fit the screen. But if you just took your straight output and sent it to your TV without any scaling, that's what you would get. And if you were watching this on a 4K monitor, this is going to be even more pathetic. But that's a 480. Nice dropout. That's a 480 picture without scaling. Let's go back and scale it again. And once again, the image is scaled. Now, depending on how this looks, I may just turn around and just do just this portion without the lead up little short clip of and upload it to YouTube at 480 without any alteration whatsoever, just so you can see exactly how it looks. But anyway, that's the tape playing on the Sony HD 700 or HD 7000. The GV HD 7000, I think, is the model on this thing. Yeah, GVHD 700. Where did I get 7000? Oh, yeah, that's right. EVS 7000 is the high 8 player that we're playing on. This is captured GVHD 700. Okay, let's go and take a look at the next one, which will be the one that was put on a DVD first. And we'll play the same thing back. Let's go take a look at the DVD copy. So here's the copy that was done to DVD first, and then imported. So this was burned to the DVD disc, and then imported into the computer. And yeah, we're seeing some dropouts. It may have improved. Oops, I got to kill that sound. So that sound was recorded or was dubbed in, as the high 8 system has the analog FM soundtrack recorded on the camera, but there was a reserve space that you could dub sound. That was one of the strengths of the high 8 and the 8mm format, is there was a reserve space. Let's scale this up to full screen. So here's full screen size, so you guys can compare. And I'm actually going to take, I'll show you the other one from the Hauppauge in a minute. But what we'll do is we'll put all three of them on the screen at the same time. In their small version, I'll just kind of move them around so you can see all three of them at the same time without scaling them up, of course, but try and make this a fair comparison. This is the transfer that was done to DVD first and then was brought into the computer for editing. And we'll go back to the normal size now momentarily, and then we'll look at the MPEG-4 capture from the Hauppauge card. Okay, next we're going to look at the same scene that was a direct MP4 capture from my Hauppauge card, and you saw how good that can do HD material from when I captured a little snippet there from the news. That's what that capture card is capable of. It's actually a very good capture card, and it does just as good a job for standard definition stuff, let me assure you. Let's take a look at it third here, and then we're going to put all three of them on the screen at the same time. So this capture is from the Hauppauge card. Notice that the dropouts weren't as many this time at the third playing. Same tape played 3 times, but the third one didn't seem to have as many dropouts. It was almost like the tape going through the machine smoothed the tape down a bit. Maybe there was some dust or something that got on it, but it's weird. It seems like this tape, the more it was played, the better it looks. I mean, look at that. There's not, well, there's still some dropouts, but it doesn't seem to be as many. Let's scale this one up to full size. And here again is the Hauppauge card captured directly into MP4, and it is now scaled to full size. And I think this probably is not. This is probably the poorest of all three of them. I think it's hard to tell looking on the small screen that I'm looking at here on the computer what it looks like, and my big screen is just a preview monitor. I haven't rendered it out, so as I'm watching this, I'm not watching it in rendered quality. I'm watching it in preview quality. Anyway, I'll leave the comments to you guys if you guys want to see some clips of the source files just sent up as unaltered files with no scaling or anything. If you want to see that, I'll compile one together of the 3 source files, and we'll send them up and see how they look on YouTube, so you can get an idea of the difference in the quality. But I think this is probably going to give you an idea here. Let's go back to resized, and then we'll put all 3 of them together. Up next, all 3 from the same time. So on the left, we've got the MP4 capture using the Hauppauge Hd Pvr using an S-video input. In the middle, we've got the Sony GV-HD 700. This is a DV capture at 25 megabits per second. The Hauppauge is at 10. And on the right, we've got the import direct from a DVD made on that Panasonic DVD recorder, again recorded at 10 megabits. So you can see, I don't know if you're going to notice any differences here, but I'm going to let this play out, and hopefully you guys can see the difference. All 3 of them are really good options. I mean, they all work well. The way I usually do it is because most of my clients want a DVD copy, so they're getting it on a DVD, and then we're ripping it for the file. And for those that don't want a DVD copy, I'm using the Sony GV-HD 700, just because the quality is excellent on it. So if someone's just coming to me saying, I want my files, I want my tapes captured, and I want to edit them, then I give it to them in DV format. I don't even give them an MP4, I just give it to them in DV format, AVI, on a hard drive, and here you go, it's 12 gigabytes per hour of tape, because that's what that one outputs. It's a very high bandwidth. Anyway, MP4 on the left, DV capture and AVI in the middle, and MPEG-2 capture on the right. I'll let this play out for a bit, and then we'll end this one. If you guys want to see the source files uploaded in standard definition without going through the editor or anything, I can certainly arrange to put up a video to show them in standard definition. But I think you get a pretty good representation here with the 3 of them side by side as to how they look. Yeah, lovely tape, huh? Dropout Central. That gosh darn Sony high 8 high grade tape crap. Absolute crap. The evaporated tape was no better either. The high grade evaporated tape, that stuff was when that stuff first came out, it was crap too. That's why I didn't use it, because it was dropout central. But I got better results using Maxell tape, Maxell or TDK. I got much better results with Maxell. That's what I ended up using. Maxell tape, because the Sony High 8 tape was just terrible stuff. Anyway, sound off in the comments. Which one do you think has the best picture? I think the one on the right, the DVD disc import, actually looks the best to my eye. That one has the best picture. But what do you guys think? Let's hear from you guys. I'm going to let this thing play for another few minutes, and enough from me. We'll catch you in the next one. And do let me know what you think for the results are. It'd be interesting to know. But I personally, just looking on my little computer screen while I'm editing this, I think the one on the right, the one that was taken off of the DVD disc, looks better than the other two. Just look at the picture. I think the contrast is better. I think the color is better on the DVD.
It's like a little garden, right? And you go inside, and it's neat because they have different environments.